Hello everyone. So, as I believe me or Chloe mentioned, we got to hang out yesterday. We did make videos. We did another part of The Girl Who Lived, part 2, and we have that all filmed and everything, and we went to edit it, and we edited it, and started uploading it to YouTube, and then my computer decided to freeze. Therefore, and we forgot to save it, so therefore, I have to re-edit it all and get it posted, and I have projects and stuff to do today, so I don't have time to do all that editing. So, I do have a little time, and I kind of want to do something fun, so I'm going to read to you this. Another part of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Get to read a little of that to you, and then I have to go back to doing my homework and whatnot, but I need to do something fun. So, here we go. Not sure where I left off. Mrs. Dursley had had a nice normal day. She told him over dinner all about Mrs. Next Door's problems with her daughter, and how Dudley had learned a new word, won't. Mr. Dursley tried to act normally. When Dudley had been put to bed, he went into the living room in time to catch the last report of the evening news. And finally, bird watchers everywhere have reported that the nation's owls have been behaving very unusually today. Although owls normally hunt at night and are hardly ever seen in daylight, there have been hundreds of sightings of these birds flying in every direction since sunrise. Experts are unable to explain why the owls have been suddenly changed their sleeping pattern. The newscaster allowed himself a grin. Most mysterious. And now, over to Jim McGuffin with the weather. Going to be any more showers of owls tonight, Jim? Well, Ted, said the weatherman, I don't know about that, but it's not only the owls that have been acting oddly today. Viewers as far apart as Kent, Yorkshire, and Dundee have been phoning in to tell me that instead of the rain I promised yesterday, there have been a downpour of shooting stars. Perhaps people have been celebrating bonfire night early. It's not until next week, folks, but I can promise a wet night tonight. Mr. Dursley sat frozen in his armchair. Shooting stars all over Britain, owls flying by daylight, mysterious people in cloaks all over the place, and a whisper about the Potters. Mr. Dursley came into the living room carrying 2 cups of tea. It was no good. He'd have to say something to her. He cleared his throat nervously. Tunia, dear, you haven't heard from your sister lately, have you? As he expected, Mrs. Dursley looked shocked and angry. After all, they normally pretended she didn't have a sister. No, she said sharply. Why? Funny stuff on the news, Mr. Dursley mumbled. Owls, shooting stars. There were a lot of funny-looking people in town today. So? Snapped Mrs. Dursley. Well, I just thought maybe it was something with, her crowd. Mrs. Dursley sipped her tea through pursed lips. Mr. Dursley wondered whether he dared tell her he'd heard the name Potter. He decided he didn't dare. Instead, he said, as casually as he could, their son. He'd be about Dudley's age now, wouldn't he? I suppose so, said Mrs. Dursley stiffly. What's his name again? Howard, isn't it? Harry. Nasty, common name, if you ask me. Oh, yes, said Mr. Dursley's heart sinking horribly. Yes, I quite agree. Didn't say another word on the subject as they went upstairs to bed, while Mrs. Dursley was in the bathroom. Mr. Dursley crept to the bedroom window and peered down into the front garden. The cat was still there. It was staring down Privet Drive as though it was waiting for something. Was he imagining things? Could all this have something to do with the Potters? If it did, if it got out that they were related to a pair of, well, he didn't think he could bear it. The Dursleys got in bed. Mrs. Dursley fell asleep quickly. Mr. Dursley lay awake, turning it all over his mind. His last comforting thought before he fell asleep was that even if the Potters were involved, There was no reason for them to come near him and Mrs. Dursley. The Potters knew very well what he and Petunia thought about them and their kind. He couldn't see how he and Petunia could get mixed up in anything that might be going on. He yawned and turned over. It couldn't affect them. How very wrong he was. So that's all I'm going to read for today. I'll read more on Wednesday. Hopefully I'll get the other videos posted by then too. So yeah, bye!